10 plus 3 equals x minus 7 equals the weight of the rhino? What?
Exactly.
Common Core. Oh.
It's hopeless.
Well,
Bye, Mom. I'm going to Katie's house.
where are you going? Have you done your homework?
Yes, Mom.
Well, have you cleaned your room? Well, now, did you just give up on your homework? Oh, my goodness. There goes your brother again. Tyler, turn that music down. Tyler! I said turn that music down. Tyler, turn that music down. Ugh. Just go take a bath. We'll do your homework later. I guess I better go fix dinner. Oh. But I was supposed to go off the other side of the stick.
You know, Fred, it's too quiet in this house.
Uh-huh.
I miss the noise. I miss the kids, don't you?
No.
I do. I miss the noise that they made when they were playing when they were little. I miss the late night talk sitting on their edge of their bed when they were teenagers. I just miss the hum that was within these four walls.
Uh-huh.
I wish they didn't live so far away. How long has it been now? 3, 4 years?
Yeah, something like that.
Oh, Fred, you don't care. You don't care that it's Mother's Day and I'm an afterthought to my children. That it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon and not one of them has even called me.
It's Mother's Day. Well, happy Mother's Day.
Oh, Fred! Oh, who could that be this late in the day? Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness, look who it is! What are you all doing here?
Well, we wanted to surprise you for Mother's Day.
Oh, my goodness. And you brought the kids, the grandkids, and the spouses. Come on in. Come on in. Grandpa's in the family room.
Well, great. They're just gonna eat us out of house and home.
Oh, my goodness. Come on now. You must be hungry. I'm going to go ahead and make dinner. You go in and sit down. Nope, I'm good.
Well, I knew it'd make her happy to see all them grandkids here. Sure was a lot of work to get him here all at one time. Don't get me wrong, I like seeing them, but I do enjoy my peace and my quiet. Especially that little Katie. I just love her so much. Katie just loves them Oreos, and they're my absolute favorite. As a matter of fact, I better go hide those right now.
Grandma, can I please have some Oreos?
Why, of course you can, sweetie. Take the whole bag.
Dang, I'm too late. Katie, don't you eat all my Oreos.
Have you ever been awakened by this sound? Well, I have. Have you ever been awakened by this sound? Well, I have. You see, when I had my children, wise mothers told me to sleep when my children sleep. And I did. The problem was that, I'm sorry, I was distracted. The problem is that my son would wake up before me. And he would get into all kinds of stuff, and I did not, just a second, Dwayne, prompter, now. Sorry. I've been so busy putting the event together that I do not have this memorized. I need you to stop it. Pause, pause, pause. Thank you. Take two. Okay. So, my son would wake up and he would get into everything. I mean, this child would climb trees and tops of trees and tip them over, anything you can imagine. The first sound you heard was eggs cracking against the wall and him laughing. I had laid him down for a nap, and I went down for a nap as well, and I hear the sound, and I'm like, oh, that's not good. But the second sound you heard was a tractor trailer going up my street really fast, and my front door was open. My 2-year-old at the time woke up from his nap and decided that he wanted to go to the corner market and get a banana. And we lived in a very busy city at that time in Roanoke, Virginia. And I was awakened by that sound. Now, before you judge me for being a bad mother, let me tell you, when I found out I was pregnant with him, I said I was going to be the best mom in the world. I took all the classes they offered. I knew how to change a diaper. I knew how to breastfeed. I even knew how to do CPR properly. The rest of the stuff is what they didn't tell me. Stuff like when you're walking through a doorway holding your brand new baby and their heads hanging over just a little. You got to leave a little clearance there. Yeah, poor thing. He cried his eyes out when I whacked his little head. I could explain a lot of things. And there were other things they didn't teach you in this class. Like when your 18-year-old calls you from a party at college and tells you that he's in charge of the beer table, well, at least he called his mom. So, yeah. And the other thing they don't tell you is how to break up fights, especially between stepchildren. When my boys were 8 and 4, their father and I got a divorce. And a year later, I remarried my wonderful husband who played Grandpa. I'm remarried Dwayne. We've been married almost 14 years. It was tough there for a little while, blending the families like we did. Step-parenting is not the same as being a regular parent. But I did my best to always be fair and not take sides. For example, this one time I was doing laundry and I happened to walk down the hall and I heard my 4-year-old and his 8-year-old in their room arguing over a book. And I stood outside the door for a few minutes just to kind of gauge and see, what was really going on. And apparently one said it was theirs and the other one didn't. So I decided I was going to say a prayer before I walk into the room. And I prayed, God, how should I handle this situation? This was early on when we, first got married. And I got it. So I walked in the room and I said, well, whose book is this? And they both said, it's mine. No, it's mine. And so then I was like, well, I remembered a story in the Bible. Thank God I'd read it. Because, Lord, if I hadn't, I don't know what I would have done with these kids growing up. But there was a story of King Solomon. And 2 women had come to him. Some of you probably know the story. And they were claiming that, one lady said, "This is my baby," and the other lady said, "This is my baby." And King Solomon, in all of his wisdom, said, "Well, let's just cut the baby in half, and you can have half, and you can have half." And one lady seemed to be fine with that. She didn't mind. And the other lady said, "No, just let her have the baby." And that is when King Solomon knew she was the rightful mother. Because what mother wants to see their baby split in half? She'd rather see another woman raise her child than to see that happen. So I thought, oh, well, this is divine inspiration. God has just dropped this story in my head. We're going to rip the book in half. Problem solved. So I suggested to the boys that we would do that. And my 4-year-old, who's a lot like me, he smiled and he said, "Okay." But then my stepson, who's very dramatic, says, "No, don't rip my book in half. I love my book. I take care of my books. Please, please don't." So I looked at my 4-year-old and I said, "This really isn't your book, is it?" And he said, "No." So problem solved. So see, you can be diplomatic even when you have stepchildren. Just, realize that there's a lot of valuable life lessons in the Bible. And just because that story wasn't about a book and 2 kids arguing didn't mean that I couldn't apply that to my everyday life. Had I not read that story years, months, weeks later, I would not have had that well to draw from. So my suggestion is, don't even think about raising kids without reading it, okay? I mean, they don't give us an instruction book at the hospital, but that is the instruction book. So, yeah, thank you. And ever since then, I've always tried to use biblical stories like that to sow in my children's hearts, to teach them how to apply it into everyday life. The Word of God says in Matthew 7:16, "You shall know them by their fruits." When my oldest son was in 2nd grade, he went to private Christian school, and during lunchtime, they would go to their little cafeteria